Hello and welcome to a new episode of Your Fave Film Critic, the weekly podcast hosted by me, starring me, produced by me, your favorite film critic, Dom Griffin. Every week I wonder, have I converted more of you to me being your favorite? I don't know. I mean, we'll find out, I suppose, but I hope, it's like a hope of mine. It's a stretch goal, I suppose. Just want to be your favorite, Anyway, this is episode 9 of the podcast, and the last few weeks, episodes have been like a little bit longer, and I feel like I had like so many things to talk about every week because I've been watching a lot of stuff. I've been a lot more active as a viewer. A lot more things have been going on in the news and stuff. I had a lot of really great questions and a lot of things and stuff on my mind. This week's been really long and very stressful. And I had far less time to watch stuff than I have the last few episodes. So that's just sort of like I'm warning you, I guess, that like I only have 3 movies that I watched this week, and I didn't really like any of them. So that'll be fun to talk about. And then I talk about a show that I actually just finished watching 20 minutes ago. So that'll be more fun talking about the show. I have a couple of things to talk about in the news. And then we have some questions, not quite as many as usual, but we're gonna do it. The reason I had such a long week, and like normally in my job, I run a movie theater. I tend to work a lot of weekends, but I usually try to carve out time for myself, either like Friday evening or sometimes like Sunday evening with my schedule to have a little bit of room to like watch some wrestling or like watch a movie or two or something. Like I need that for me, And this past weekend, I had to do something that I've done 6 or 7 times before. And that is I spent the weekend with Tommy Wiseau, the writer, director, star, producer of The Room. And I guess I'll just tell you guys a little bit about that. But before I get into that, this episode doesn't have a sponsor per se. Like, this isn't like a sponsored by thing, or I guess it's kind of an ad. I don't know. In my videos and like when people see me out and about and stuff, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'1". I weigh a bunch, and there's a brand that I wear quite a bit called One Bone, and they're sort of like a size inclusive casual wear fashion brand. I don't know what to really call them, but I've been wearing their stuff for a few years now, and mostly just like their shirts. I love their shirts. And they make sizes from like essentially like a medium all the way up to like, I think like an 8XL or something. And they're so much better than like every other big and tall brand I've ever attempted to like support financially. Like my entire life, I've always been a big guy in different sizes of big guy. And anyone else I know who's fat, at some point in life, we end up having a conversation that's like, dude, when was the last time you had to be inside a big and tall store? Did you want to fucking blow your head off? And it's like, yeah, I walked in and there was a giant display of shirts with the fucking big dog on it, or just beer logo shirts or Hawaiian shirts. It's just like, hey, are you fat? You should look like shit everywhere you go. You should be fucking ashamed to be alive. Also, this very generic pair of pants is going to cost you $125. You fat fuck. And quite demoralizing, obviously. But the guys at One Bone, they're a company based out of Canada. I think they're from Quebec. And they just make really good quality clothes. Like they started out primarily with shirts, but like they branched out to like other outerwear and stuff like that. And I've got most of my wardrobe now is essentially from them over the years. Of just like anytime they put out something new and I can like splurge for myself, I'm like, I need this. And they're great. I love them. Like I love how I feel when I wear their clothes. I always feel very comfortable. Like the shirts are always tailored a little longer, which is great if you have like a belly. If you have to like raise your arm, you don't want your whole area popping out. That's always really nice about them. They always have like cool colors, and everything about the brand is just really cool. Like they use a lot of really good like plus size model guys who are all like actually different body types. If you look at like king size direct or like casual male XL or whatever the fuck, or DXL, Destination XL, it's like the same 4 fucking guys. There's like this one plus size male model guy who's just like tall, and he probably weighs like 240 or something. But like they use like a variety of fat dudes, some like like lesser known pro wrestlers, athletes and stuff like that. Like The kind of moment where I really realized that I really fucked with them heavily and I thought that they were like going to go places was like, I have a jacket that I got from them a year or two ago. And it's like one of my favorite jackets. I just wear it like all the time. And when Otis, the WWE wrestler, was doing the storyline with Maximum Male Models, and they're trying to turn him into a model, and they were calling him Otis. It was a really fun storyline. Didn't really go anywhere. He actually like wore the jacket I owned in like one of the segments, and I was like, oh man, Otis is down with one bone. This is really cool. So long story short, anyway, I love the guys, and they made me one of their brand ambassadors this week, which is really cool. I've never done that before. So I'll put it in the description on YouTube, and I'll put it in the show notes, I guess, on the audio version. There's a link. If you go to onebonebrand.com/armchair auteur, you can get 15% off of your first order with them. And then like I get like a commission, which is like really cool because I fucking love money. And yeah, it's just cool. It's a cool little thing. You know, I'm hoping to be able to branch out into getting more like things like this going, but this is the first time it's ever happened for me. And it made me feel very like official and like legit. And also it's like a brand I like genuinely really support. It's not like a thing where I'm like, I just want some quick money. Like I really fuck with them heavy. I sent like a video to like apply for this shit. It would edit to be like a 7-minute video of me like talking about how important their brand is to me, my self-confidence and stuff. It was very dramatic. I'm kind of extra, but anyway, if you have ever seen me wearing some One Bone, or like you've ever asked me, where'd you get that shirt? And I tell you, and you go and look, and like now you can do that. You can get in on the action. And it helps me, which is cool. You guys like me. So once again, it's onebonebrand.com/armchair auteur. Once I really branch into this stuff, I got to get better at doing ad reads. We'll get there. It's a fun skill to teach myself, I suppose. Anyway, Tommy Wiseau, an auteur of sorts. Look, 2010, my first weekend as an assistant manager at a movie theater, we had Tommy Wiseau come to the city to do personal appearances all weekend for The Room. He brought Greg Sestero with him. It was fucking pandemonium. It was the first time he'd ever been to DC, and it was this huge success. And every year after that or so, he would come back to DC to our theater. And as I moved up the ranks of the management team and like became higher up and had like a larger stature or whatever, I just at one point I just became like his right hand man whenever he came to visit. He didn't really get along with my general manager at the time. They kind of hated each other. And there was just one year where he came, and it was kind of like maybe a year or two before like The Disaster Artist came out, the book that Greg Sestero wrote about him. And I remember him and my boss like had like butted heads really badly over some of the particulars of the way he wanted the weekend to go. So my boss is just like, I'm not fucking talking to that dude. This is your problem now. And I was like, okay. And I spent the whole weekend with him, and it went really well. Like I'm a really agreeable person. I'm easy to get along with. I can handle most difficult personalities and stuff. That's like a skill I'm semi proud of. It went so well that at the end of the weekend, he offered me a job. He was like, I don't know if I really don't want to do like a Tommy Wiseau impression on here because it's like, no one does a good one. And I don't want to be like a dick. But Tommy just has a very specific way of talking. Obviously, you hear it in the movie anytime you see him in public. But he was just like, you should come work for me. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. My friends at the time were like, why don't you just move to LA and work for Tommy Wiseau? I'm like, because what is the likelihood that I move to LA at random and this man actually has a job for me? Like, I'll get out there and he'll be like, who are you? He will not remember me, And then, yeah, basically every year after that I would do this again, he would like kind of barely remember me. And then maybe 4 hours into the day, he would be like, oh, that's right, last year. And I was like, yeah, it's me. It's the same fucking guy. So then at one point we had a year, I think it was after The Disaster Artist came out, where the book anyway, not the movie. Everyone knew the movie was happening. Like Franco had optioned it and they were filming it and stuff. So Greg didn't come because he was busy being like, trying to be like a real celebrity. And everyone that showed up for the meet and greets had a copy of the book for him to sign. He didn't want to fucking sign it. He was just like, I mean, it's like an entire book essentially revealing like his entire mystique, his whole shtick, his whole gimmick, It was essentially like the autobiography version of like those old, when they would like teach you how to do magic tricks or how like wrestling works and be a guy in a mask revealing the secrets. It was like that. Like they gave this man's, Greg, gave his best friend secrets away. I thought it was kind of fucked up, actually. That time that he came, he was, I don't want to slander him or whatever. I don't know about the legal side of this, but he was not pleasant. We did not have a good weekend. We did not get along that week. A lot of very terse words were shared. It was very, very tense. After that, the theater basically banned him from doing live appearances for like years. I don't work at that theater anymore, but I work for the same company. Last year, my old boss quit. Got a new job in another theater chain. So like they called in the 3 guys in the market who've ever dealt with Tommy to kind of come and deal with it. So I got to go kind of guest star over there, and I just did the same thing. I was his right-hand man. I helped him. I ferried him from Q&A to Q&A. I introduced him. I moderated the Q&As. I had to like kind of almost be like his body guy, kind of, because like a lot of his fans are weird, and people would get kind of touchy and strange, and like I'm huge, so like I could kind of be like, okay, well, you gotta fucking go. You know, it's kind of like almost like his personal bodyguard. I spent every time I've ever done this with him, people just ask, so do you work for Tommy? And I'm like, no, this is just a thing I'm doing for 2 days. That is all. I work for a different employer. But last year, a new component was thrown in, which was that like, because I'm just like his guy standing there for the meet and greet the whole time, every time a group of people want to take pictures with him, but like, you know, who's going to hold the camera? It would be like, well, Dom's just there. You do this. So I ended up taking, I don't know, like fucking 900 goddamn. No, it's like a conservative number, like a lot of fucking pictures of people with Tommy Wiseau. I really realized that like, if you have like an iPhone 11 Pro or higher, your camera is like essentially fine for like casual use, right? Like, and the shutter is very fast. Apple's like A series chips are very fast. The post processing happens when you take a digital picture on a phone. It's just like very quick. You can just like throw the phone up, hold it level, and then just keep slapping the shutter and like get a couple of good pictures, and like it's going to turn out fine. But you get some really like touchy, testy people who roll up on you with like a Samsung S8, and then they're like mad that it's taking a long time to take a good picture for them. And it's like, I could just give you this blurry fucking mess if I wanted to. I'm trying to be a decent person. I'm trying to help you make memories, because that is what the movies are all about. So anyway, he came back this past weekend, but this was different. He did one night of The Room, and then he did one night of his new movie, Big Shark. Last year, he was showing the trailer for Big Shark, and it was very clearly not done. Big Shark is the first feature film Tommy Wiseau has made since The Room. He had a TV pilot that didn't get picked up called Neighbors, I want to say. He made like a horror short called The House That Dripped Blood on Alex. I remember when he first did that, he would always pitch it to us as like, the new movie is called The House That Dripped Blood. And then he had like this long pause. On Alex. And I was like, that sounds weird, but okay. I never saw it. And then he made like a movie with Greg that I don't think he directed or wrote. I don't know the deal with that, but it doesn't really count. Big Shark is his first new all-original Tommy Wiseau production. He wrote, directed, starred, all the same stuff. It is about 3 firefighters in New Orleans who have to fight a giant shark. And I didn't get to watch it, actually, because I was just doing all the Tommy stuff. But I watched a couple of scenes or little bits, and I was like, this actually is like almost kind of good, like in kind of like an asylum kind of way. Like the whole deal about The Room, if you've never seen it, is it's just a fucking horrible movie. It's just bad. It's really like badly made, but it's so funny. It's so uniquely not good that it's kind of great in a way. Like you couldn't make a movie this unique on purpose. You know what I mean? Like if you were trying to. So that's like kind of like the special thing about the movie. The thing about Big Shark is it looks and feels more like a real movie. I mean, it's still ridiculous. But there's like, I basically watched the end multiple times because I had to be there to like, you know, turn the mics on and stuff for the Q&A part. But I watched the end a few times and people were really fucking into it. Like one of the shows we had like totally sold out, and the crowd was like really bonkers crazy for it. Like they were really like standing ovation, like it was Cannes Film Festival. And usually people like The Room because it's like, The Room used to be like frat guy Rocky Horror Picture Show. It was like Rocky Horror Picture Show would bring out like young queer kids and like theater kids and just drunk normies who would like want to, you know, be wild for a night or whatever. And The Room was always just like bros, just guys who like just fucking, oh, Tommy, I fucking love you. Oh my God. And they'd just be like the worst. The last year I discovered that is not the audience for The Room that much anymore. It actually is much more overlap with the Rocky Horror audience. It's much more like young tender queers and stuff, and like these really kind of sweet like earnest people who like are not like doing the like, oh, this movie sucks and we're laughing. Like they're all kind of like, Tommy's a really nice guy, I really like him. which is just very strange, kind of watching Tommy like adapt to that, you know, because he's used to just like sweaty football throwing men, and now it's like all these like nice kids and stuff. Anyway, the audience, like I said, it was not like an ironic, it didn't feel like an ironic, we liked it. It felt like this is a cool movie and it was really fun and we really like it. And like I said, I dealt with Tommy a lot of times, but the night we did Big Shark stuff, he seemed more vulnerable than I've ever seen him really. And I realized this is a new thing. He's been touring the room for like 20 years or whatever. You know, he's seen it a million times. He's used to all this stuff. He hasn't in a long time showed some people something new. So he was like very sensitive. He was very like, anytime we had a minute where I didn't have to have him, you know, like a zoo out in front of the meet and greet stuff, he was just like, I'm going to go sit and watch the movie with the audience. And I'm like, yeah, man, do that. I want you to have that. I want you to have that. You deserve that. Like the guy, some of the years I've dealt with him, he's kind of a terror. Sometimes it's very stressful dealing with his fans. A lot of them are very weird and very difficult at times. But I had this like moment with him. Like, look, I'm very real. I did not fucking want to do this past weekend. I literally did this as a favor for my best friend. And I was like super bummed out that I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this all weekend. And everyone that's coming in here, it's like the night of their lives. They're meeting Tommy Wiseau. And they're like, isn't this so cool being near him? And I'm like, this is not new to me. I would much rather be home or like at my theater dealing with like regular stuff, you know? But I had that moment with him when he wanted to go in to watch Big Shark with the sold out crowd. Like, and I just saw this, like, I don't want to call it like childlike wonder, because that's kind of infantilizing, but it was like, there was a purity that I'd never seen in him before. And it was a purity of like a guy who was just happy to show people something he made, you know? And sure, it's a movie about a giant shark in New Orleans that 3 firefighters have to stop. They sing a lot in the movie. I think there's like an original song Tommy wrote. And he started singing a piece of it at the first Q&A, and everyone jumped in like they already knew the words. It freaked me the fuck out. But there was like this real genuine thing. And I don't know, it kind of touched me. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, it was just like, yeah, you know what? Like, it is hard to make things, and it is hard to be vulnerable enough to show people the things you've made. And I mean, like, I just make YouTube videos or whatever, right? You know, like this in this podcast. Like, I don't have to go walk into a room of 200 people, you know what I mean? To kind of be like, all right, guys, here's my thing. And then stand there while they watch it. And like, I wonder if I like mix the audio well enough or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It was the first time in the years that I've done this with him since like 2010 that I felt like, I don't want to say a closeness. I'm having a hard time with words tonight, but I felt like I understood him a little bit better. And I felt I related to him better. That's probably the best way I can say it, is like a lot of times spending a weekend with Tommy Wiseau was like hanging out with fucking Dracula. People go, what's he like? And I'm like, he is both way more normal than you think and also way weirder. Like, he's just a very eccentric character. And if I found out he was a vampire, I would not be surprised. But I've always harbored a secret theory that he's actually the greatest actor who's ever lived, and that his entire public thing is a put upon persona, and that he knew the movie was bad. Like, some days I think he's actually the greatest filmmaker who's ever lived, and one day he's just gonna like turn to me on one of these weekends, and he's just gonna like start walking different, like fucking verbal Kint at the end of The Usual Suspects, and he's gonna be like, you know, this is the greatest performance of my lifetime, and I'm gonna be like, holy fucking shit, Tommy, you've been doing this for years. And he's gonna be like, yeah. It's the guy with the old Asian man with the fishbowl and the prestige, you know what I mean? Maybe that's Tommy, I don't know. But this weekend I looked in his eyes and I saw there was a fear, you know? What if he hated? You know? And like, he's already, you know, he's steeled himself for dealing with people hating his movie and managed to profit off of it for all this time. He's profited more off this one shitty movie than a lot of people have off of movies they worked their lives for, you know? So it was nice. I was like, you know what? I'm so glad these people like this movie. There was a girl at the meet and greet, like this very weird, quirky girl who's like, you know, like those girls who are really into like anime and stuff. They're like super weebs. And then like, they're not socialized well because like they live on the internet. So they talk like anime characters, and like they do like the little like shy girl shit or whatever. And like, she was just it was a lot. I don't want to be rude. I don't like to yuck people's yums, but it was like, holy shit. and she wanted to like play a song for Tommy, and he was like, just do it in the Q&A. Like, we're doing a Q&A after the show. And I looked at him and I'm like, in my head, like, Tommy, she's going to remember that. And he was like, nah, she forget. No, she was like the second person to come to ask a question during the Q&A, and she had an ocarina. And then she started asking Tommy Wiseau if he'd ever played Legend of Zelda. And Tommy Wiseau's a 62-year-old man. I don't think he's ever fucking played Legend of Zelda. And then she played something from Zelda on the ocarina. And it was actually like, I'm not going to lie, it was like actually a pretty impressive performance that she did. But it was so fucking weird. And I was just standing there with the microphone like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? But anyway, because I did that all weekend, I didn't have quite as much time to like watch stuff. So I'll get into what I watched a little later, but I just wanted to share a little bit that was my experience with Tommy. Almost everyone I know has like met him and stuff, because most of my friends have worked at this theater at some point or another. So like to us, it's just like Tommy is like, you know, kind of like an old, I don't want to call him an old pal, but it's like we know him. Tommy is like a known commodity to us. But when I talk to other people, they're like, the guy from the fucking room? Like, you fucking know him? I'm like, kind of. Like, it's not like, I will say it's not like I have his number, but I actually do have his cell phone number now. We agreed. I was like, I'll just come find you when it's time to pull you for this. And he was like, just text me. And I kept not wanting to. I had his number like for days, but I kept calling him from like the office line because I was like, I don't want to get Tommy my number. Not like he's going to do anything with it or whatever, but it's just, I don't know. I get weird about my number. And then I ended up having to text him, and I was like, okay, this is it. Tommy and I have each other's numbers. I'm going to add him to my contacts. This is Tommy Wiseau, like the little TW circle thing in iMessage. And then he texted me later thanking me after the whole weekend was done. And I was like, good, whatever. It was like a nice little, I don't know, maybe I talked too long about this. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I spent the weekend with Tommy Wiseau. That happened again to me. Let's talk about the news. Let's talk about some news. I only have a few bits that I want to talk about. So I'm not the world's biggest Taylor Swift fan. I'm not a big Swiftie personally. I was a very diehard Kanye West fan for a very long period of time. So like, I don't know. I always thought Taylor Swift kind of sucked, you know, because of all the stuff that happened at the VMAs or whatever. And then I want to say it was around the time like 1989 came out. Like I liked some of the songs on that. It was the first time I'd ever listened to her music for real. And I was like, man, she's a pretty good songwriter. These songs are pretty cool. I'm also like a stan for Max Martin. So I love that kind of pop, you know? And I was like, Taylor's pretty cool. And ever since I've been like begrudgingly like accepting of her music. Like I'm not a huge fan. Those two like folky albums that she released during lockdown, like Folklore and the other one, what the fuck's it called? I don't remember the name of that album, honestly, but I just remember it sounds like a CW drama. Anyway, the shit where she's in the woods, those songs. I remember thinking those were really good. I like those. Anyway, she's on this crazy Eras tour, and like it's, you know, like basically every person you know is excited about a tour, and it's either the Beyonce Renaissance tour or it's the Taylor Swift Eras tour, and they're very different, obviously. But Taylor and her people made a concert film from the tour, like with the self-financed. They made like a I don't know what the deal is or what it's going to look like or feel like, but they made like a concert film like that you can like release, like, you know, Taylor's version of The Last Waltz or something. And I guess she tried to go through the studios to find a distributor for it, and none of them were giving her particularly favorable terms on the deals they proposed. And she's like, I'm like the biggest fucking pop star on earth, and I made the whole fucking movie already. Like, it's literally done. You don't have to do fucking anything but distribute it. And you guys want this much out of the fucking thing that I fucking made? I don't know that Taylor Swift talks like Joe Pesci in Casino in meetings, but like I like to pretend she does. So she was like, fuck this shit. And she went directly to the exhibitors. She went to AMC and I think Cinemark to distribute this movie. And like she just cut the studios right the fuck out. And like they have such crazy egg on their face, considering all the other fucking fumbles that's been happening for the last several months during the strikes and stuff. Like, these guys just can't get it together. And now it's going to be dropping like in October. I want to say it's like October 13th. I just remember being at work and like going to get some water downstairs and getting my phone blowing up, being like, put these fucking tickets on sale. Taylor Swift is happening. And I was like, oh shit. Okay, I'll go do it. So that'll be a fun. But like it's actually essentially guaranteed to be like almost like a blockbuster hit, because think of how many people have not been able to afford to go to the Eras tour shows who will just come watch a movie. It's like for I could be wrong. I think like the ticket prices, she set the ticket prices to be like a inside. I think they might be like $19.99 for the ticket price or something, to be like cute. I don't know, whatever. But it's going to be interesting how much money it makes. I think it's going to make a lot of money, but it's going to be interesting how much money it makes and like what, I don't know. I wonder what the reverberations of this are going to be, you know, 'cause studios were like not fucking happy getting cut out of this shit, and also just not knowing that they're going to drop a movie that big out of nowhere. Like if you plan on releasing a movie that weekend, like, good fucking luck. You're probably not releasing something bigger than that. Like Killers of the Flower Moon moved to 8/20, I think, for its wide release. It would have been out in limited release 8/16/13, but Tay-Tay, I don't know if it's gonna be multiple weekends. I don't remember the whole deal for everything, but like it's gonna be rolling in some dough, you know. And I'm curious to see what it's like. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to watch it or care enough, but I'm very curious, I'll say, because like I said, I think she's a really good songwriter. I have no interest in seeing her live like that. Like when that fucking comedian who's always on podcasts on TikTok was saying that like she's the biggest best live act since Michael Jackson and like Beyonce can't compare to her, I was like, is he trolling? Like I'm sure the Beehive has probably like disseminated his address all over the dark web or something. That guy's probably gonna get fucking knifed in an alley. You know, Ms. Knowles sends her regards, but I like her music. I think she's like, you know, I like a lot of her songs. I just don't think I like her enough to be like a fucking fan to like care what she's up to, if that makes sense. Although I did, whatever that song is that was in the Bear season 2, is it Love Story or whatever? I don't remember what the fucking song is called, but I listened to it like 700 times after that episode of The Bear. Like a bunch. I was listening to like Nightcore remixes of it. I was listening to like bad acoustic covers of it. I was like, this is a jam. So I don't know, if she plays that in the movie, maybe I'll go see it. Oh god. Another thing that happened in the news is Richard Linklater debuted a new film, like a Hitman movie at Venice. And I read a little bit about it before it debuted, and basically it's based on like a Vanity Fair article or something, one of those true stories that gets turned into movies, about a guy who either was a contract killer, like pretended to be one, or was like really good at going undercover. I didn't do enough research for this to be talking about on the pod like this. This is silly, but basically Richard Linklater wanted to make a movie about it, and Glen Powell, the super hunk from Top Gun Maverick and Devotion and probably other stuff, that really fucking good looking guy who we all have been looking at in movies being like, when is he gonna become a fucking movie star? When's it gonna happen? This guy's like, every new person who becomes famous is just some frail, weird little twink, some little fucking rat boy. You know what I mean? Some fucking whatever. Glen Powell looks like a fucking man. You know, when is he going to get on? And it sounds like he co-wrote the script with Linklater. Like he had like a lot of a vision for what he wanted the character to be like. And people at Venice were saying it's Linklater's best movie in years, which is nice because he hasn't had a really good one in a minute. And that it's it. This is the thing. He's arrived. Like this is the movie that's going to make people go like, put him in fucking everything, you know? He's probably going to get fucking cast as a superhero in like 2 months, and it'll be a very short honeymoon period before I'm like, oh, that guy now. But whatever. I like him a lot, and I think this is really cool, and I really want to see the movie. I thought it was really crazy too, because it's like getting way better reviews than Fincher's Hitman movie, The Killer, that I'm very excited for, and will most likely like more. Let's be real, but I want to see it now. Like this has kind of jumped into my like most anticipated for the rest of the year. I don't know if it's coming out before 2023 is over. I don't think it has distribution yet, but I hope they fucking figure that out and strike while the iron's hot. But maybe they don't have to rush it because it's not going to be like an Oscar contender, you know, or at least I don't think so. I don't know, whatever. I like Linklater a lot. Really good guy, really cool guy. He's made a lot of really beautiful movies, and a lot of, even like his like lesser movies are all pretty nice, you know? So good on him. Good on Dicky Linklater. Good guy. One other thing, the news is, I guess today maybe, Eli Roth is putting out Thanksgiving finally. Like he made the Thanksgiving movie based on the Thanksgiving trailer from Grindhouse. You guys remember when Grindhouse came out? Planet Terror and Death Proof, the Tarantino Robert Rodriguez double feature movie that had the fake funny trailers. Well, they fucking made it a movie finally, and like I don't remember the last time I watched an Eli Roth movie. I like Hostel 2 quite a lot. That's probably my favorite movie of his. But otherwise, I don't have like very strong opinions about him as a filmmaker. So like, I want to be excited because I'm generally kind of excited for most new horror movies if they don't look like terrible. But it just feels one of those things like, why is this happening now? This feels like, it feels weird that it took you this fucking long to get around to doing it. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. If you guys, this is something you've been looking forward to for the last however fucking long it's been since Grindhouse came out. Was it like 2007? I think. So 16 fucking years, right? All right. Well, all right, Eli, you've got it, brother. Hopefully it's good. I think Addison Rae is the star, like the TikTok girl. So that's fun that we're in that. That's where we are as a culture now. The TikTok people are getting into the movies. So okay, that's everything I want to talk about from the news, I guess. Let's talk about what I watched. All right, so okay, so some inside baseball film critic shit. You don't always kind of get to choose everything you get to review, right? I review things for my channel, obviously, but my two primary places of business as a film critic. I'm a freelance writer at looper.com. So one of their critics, and they have more. When I started, it was like me and two guys. Now it's like 8 people. So we all kind of have to like fight for movies more often. Like half of the guys are kind of brought in mainly to do festival coverage, and I've never gotten to go to a film festival in my life. And there's sort of like, I don't want to get into this, but there's sort of like a thing in the world of like film criticism where it's like, look, if you have money, your parents have money, or whatever, if you don't have like, you know, to like work a job and shit, or a certain type of job, you can just like randomly go to film festivals. And if you go and you're just going to see all these movies, you have like an inside thing, you know, with publications. Cause like, hey, I'm going to be at the festival. You guys need coverage of this movie? And they're like, yeah, you're sure, whatever. So you can kind of like get on that way, but it's like, you have to be able to do that stuff. Every year that a festival happens, I've been like, you know what? It's just not financially feasible for me to randomly go to Utah or to randomly go to Europe. You know what I mean? And I've never written for a publication where I was like enough of an employee to like them to send me, you know? So, Looper brought in a lot of guys essentially for film festival coverage, but then like they've done more of the regular, basically you got to like ask, you got kind of like dibs for movies, you know what I mean? And I mean, I got to do Mission Impossible Fallout, which was good. Like I most of the movies that I really wanted to review this year, I've been able to review for Looper, like, you know, which is good. But like for September, I realized I didn't really have anything for the month. And the only thing really left that was like up for grabs per se was My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. And I was like, I got to keep my iron sharp. You know what I mean? I know it sounds silly, but it's like, if I go too many weeks without doing a review, like I like to just, ideally I'd like to have 2 to 3 reviews every single week. Like in good years, I've been able to keep up that kind of pace. Not as much lately, and I don't like it. So I'm like, I got to stay strong. I got to man up, and if I got to review a movie, you know, when I first started really cutting my teeth and working as a film critic, I wrote a site called Spectrum Culture, and I had even like less, like you would put in like your dibs for like a month or whatever, and then like they would pick whatever. And I habitually had a reputation as being the guy who will watch the shit. You know, I watched a lot of shit, and it kind of forces you a lot to be smarter or better at analyzing stuff. If you only review the things you want to watch, you know, it's like you're kind of like lazy. You're not like a real worker. You know what I mean? They got you working the easy work, huh? You know, you're reviewing a Star Wars. Good for you, you know. So I'm like, I gotta sharpen my fucking sword. I'm gonna watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Here's the thing about My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. I never fucking saw the first 2. Ever. Like, ever. Not even like, oh, I saw them partially on like PBS or something. I've just never fucking watched them. Nor have I ever had like even like the minor inkling that I wanted to. This is not my kind of thing. So Monday night, before the Tuesday screening that I went to, I was like, I guess I gotta watch these 2 movies. And I watched them back to back. I watched the first one on Max, and then I realized that they're both on Peacock. So I watched the second one on Peacock, but I could have watched them both on Peacock, whatever. Every Fat Greek Wedding movie is like exactly 92 minutes long. Like they're so short, and you guys know I love short movies. But every one of these movies feels like it shouldn't even be 90 minutes long. Like they all feel like they should be like shorts or TV pilots or something. And they are like largely without conflict. Like I understand the appeal of the first movie. I understand why My Big Fat Greek Wedding was such a huge success. I think it tapped into like sort of like a cultural, like motherlode for a lot of people. And I think that like it's a light comedy, and like there's a certain kinds of comedies that the theater I personally run now. Now we play a lot more mainstream movies than we used to, but we used to exclusively cater to the kind of people that want to watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding, like the people that love these like inoffensive, charming enough, kind of like quiet dramedies that are comedy, but they're not that funny, but they're dramas, but they're not that serious. There's not really stakes. Nothing's really like, no one's ever in danger. Like they're just very soft and like, they're just like gossamer movies, And sometimes those movies are really nice and cool. Like I know it's kind of become like a meme to really like the Paddington films, but the Paddington films are very like soft and gentle and sweet and stuff, but they're like cool and they're well constructed, like they're fun. I like that. I like that sort of like, I guess like, I don't know, like nice core hope punk, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like I'm not totally a sourpuss, but a movie that's like, oh, this girl, Nia Vardalos wrote all these movies, and she was like sort of like a struggling actress, comedian type, and she wrote this movie about essentially her like life and her family, kind of. And John Corbett plays her love interest. Quick note about John Corbett while we're here. I like that this guy, outside of, was it Northern Exposure? Was that the show he was on in the 90s? Outside of that show, he's basically just played like the boyfriend for like so fucking long. And then now, because he's a little bit older now, he's like the dad. Like every like Netflix sweet teen movie, it's like, who's your dad? It's John Corbett. He cut his hair, now he's a father. And watching these movies back to back, especially the first one, we still had the long hair, I was like, John Corbett looks kind of like Steven Seagal. Like, not a lot, but they're both like tall and kind of gangly, but like with like some like chub in the middle, and they have like equally kind of shitty hair, and they have similar facial features, like similar facial structure, but like Steven Seagal is like a self-righteous sort of like self-important blowhard, and then John Corbett's like a really nice guy. He's like really chill. He's just like, hey, it's all cool. I don't even remember what his name was on Sex and the City, or actually even what his character is like. But there are people that like that show that think Carrie should have ended up with him and not Big, right? I don't know. I should ask around. I'm not a Sex and the City head. But anyway, every time he popped up on screen in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, I was like, this motherfucker looks like Steven Seagal. And it was like distracting me because I kept imagining her meeting Steven Seagal, and it was about her marrying him. And then I kept imagining like, how come they never made a movie as brothers? Like a guy who's like a straight arrow, nice family man, and then his brother who's like a secretly an assassin or something. It's too late now because like Corbett's best days are behind him and Steven Seagal looks like hammered shit. So, but what if, right? Anyway, watching the movie, Nia Vardalos is really cool. Thing one is, I like seeing her in stuff because she seems really nice in real life. She seems like a cool person. She's very pretty. She's very attractive. But as a writer, she's so boring. And like, she really heavily relies on a lot of voiceover, but the voiceover is not like dramatic or interesting or like at odds with what you're seeing. It's just like someone spoon feeding you the vibe, And in the first movie, the thing that I fucking hated was that they try to sell this whole thing of like, she's like a mousy, weird little girl and her family thinks no one's ever going to fucking love her because she sucks. But then she meets John Corbett and like that opens her up and she goes to school and she gets a different job. And like all that happens is she starts wearing makeup and she gets her hair done. And it's like a completely different fucking person. And I'm like, you wrote this about yourself? I feel like you would know that there was more nuance to like your real life glow up. Like glow ups have nuance. It's not like fucking Urkel going into the machine and coming out Stefan. It's not Ali Sheedy being like a dark-eyed goth and then someone does her face and now she's like this like Paisley princess or something. Like there's there's levels to that arc, right, of glowing up. So what I hated is in the first third of the movie or whatever, she's like doing like a Clark Kent thing. Like her hair is like matted and she has glasses and she just like doesn't talk and she's shy. And then it's like 2 minutes of screen time later and like her hair's all done and she looks, very pretty. And she's just like this like gung-ho strong woman and stuff. And you're like, I don't know. I felt like that was a waste, right? And then you're thinking they build up the whole shit about like, these Greeks, they only marry other Greeks. You have to stay in the family. Don't mix races or whatever. And then she meets like a very white guy and they're all like, he's not Greek. Fuck it. Like the one thing that I thought was going to be like, oh, there's going to be this tension of like, they're not meant to be, but they love each other. And like, no, not really. It was like, all right, you're getting married. Now it's wedding stuff. Now it's like shit with the family. And like, I'm trying to remember all the people that play the supporting roles. Like Louis Mandylor, I think, plays her brother. Joey Fatone in Sync plays one of the cousins. Lainey Kazan plays her mom. She's pretty great. And I don't remember the lady who plays like her aunt. There's like this one aunt in the movie, all the movies, who's like the character. Like she's like the standout and can tell the funniest lines and stuff. But the first one is like a bit, it's like a bit much for me, but it's also like it's not very much, like not enough. And I was like, all right, this is fine. And it kind of ends with them like starting their life together. You're like, okay, cool. Then they made two. The first one was like 2002. This came out in 2016. So 14 years passed in real life. But in the movie, it's like 17 years have passed because she has a kid and the kid's about to go to college. And I don't know the actress who plays her daughter, but she like sucks. Well, maybe it's not her. It's like the character is really underwritten. I remember thinking, once again, the movie opens up with like, because she's a mom now. Now she's back to being dowdy. She doesn't put makeup on. Her hair is fucked up. It's like that's her character trait. Is her hair is fucked up. Like she looks a mess. Get it together, girl. And I remember thinking, it's interesting because like, she kind of rebelled against her own family. Now her like daughter's rebelling against her. Now it's like she's the overbearing parent that's like all in her daughter's shit. Like this will be a really interesting relationship to unpack. And then like, no, it's just a whole fucking movie of her daughter being like, leave me alone. And her being like, I guess I have to learn to leave you alone. And then John Corbett being like, we don't fuck. I'm sorry. He doesn't say we don't fuck, but like every time they have a scene, it's about like, there's no romance in our relationship anymore, in our marriage. And like, we're just parents and we're boring. The way John Corbett says every one of those lines is just like, and you're not sucking my dick enough anymore. And she's like, but I'm a mom. And, I don't know. It's just did nothing for me, I guess. And then like they have the subplot about her parents not really being married and they have to renew their vows. So this is the thing. The first movie is about her wedding, right? And the second one is about her parents renewing their vows. So if they keep making My Big Fat Greek Wedding movies, there's this ongoing thing where it's like the mystery of like, well, what's the fucking wedding going to be? Wedding is still in the title. Who's getting married? And that could be an exciting thing if these movies are all good. Like who the fuck's going to end up getting married by the last act? But like, no, it's the third one. Look, so, okay, the second one came out in 2016. This one just came out, like, whatever, today. If you're listening to this the day this drops, it comes out today. And 7 years have passed in real life, but in this movie, a year has passed, but a bunch of stuff has happened. So it's like, her dad's dead, and, like, her mom has Alzheimer's, and, like, she needs to go to Greece to, like, give his journal to his best friends. They go back to the village he's from, and it's like kind of a road trip movie, but her daughter comes, and her daughter's gone through her first year of college, and she's the exact same fucking whiny person who's like, leave me alone. Let me live my life. And it was just like, man, this is like, their relationship was like Lady Bird if it fucking sucked. Like if it's Lady Bird, if it was a shitty ass movie, basically. So that stuff's not very good. But there's some stuff that's like charming in it. You know what I mean? There's just one thing in My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, spoilers for My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, if you care, where they're in Greece and this woman plays like a woman they go to stay with who used to date her father before he moved to America. And I don't know the actress's name, but she looks and sounds exactly like the mama from Throw Mama from the Train, like the villain from the Goonies. So she looks and sounds like that, but Greek. And I mentioned this to a friend, Jack, and I was like, I think it might be her. And he's like, she's been dead for 20 years. And I was like, I am probably wrong then. Anyway, she has this attitude because, like, you know, she used to date her father or whatever. And then they keep seeing this guy, like this really handsome, tall, like mysterious guy who looks a little bit like if you bought Joe Manganiello off of like Wish or something. And Tula, Nia Vardalos' character, keeps saying, like, who's that handsome man? He looked so striking. And her husband's like, what the fuck you, why do you keep calling him handsome? What's wrong with you? You know, I hate you or whatever. And they do this gag like 3 or 4 times. And then he like shows up to a dinner they're at. And the reveal is that he's her half brother. This woman had a son with her father before he moved to America and met her mother. And I'm like, why did they spend the whole fucking movie building up that Nia Vardalos clearly thought he was super fuckable? Because these movies are pretty chaste, do you know what I mean? But like, you know, the actors kind of imbue a bit of horniness into it. And like Nia Vardalos was talking about this dude like she was ready to risk it all. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, oh, it's her brother. And they like make a gag out of it. And I was like, why is that? Why would you build up to that gag? What was the thought process here? You know, and like Louis Mandylor plays her brother, and he gets like a big arc because he's trying to like scatter his dad's ashes at his favorite thinking tree or something. But there's so little to the movie. There's so little plot, so little things that happen that they keep like having these set pieces or whatever that are supposed to be funny gags, but the comedy's not funny. So they leave in all this dead space that like if it was good comedy, you'd be laughing and clapping at, but it's not, so you don't. And I just remember thinking like, this is like really fucking uncomfortable. But that said, there were some charming elements. Like, I'm not mad I watched it. It was otherwise a nice night, you know, but the movie was not really for me. It was okay. Like, I was just, why, how did they fucking make this? You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy to me that they made that they made 3 of these. Like, I don't know if they can make a 4th. You know, I don't know that that's really gonna happen or whatever, but I don't know. That's so originally, because I love a good bit, I thought about making this just like a Nia Vardalos episode. Like, I was going to go watch her other movies. Like, she wrote and directed a movie called I Hate Valentine's Day with John Corbett in like 2009 or something. And she co-wrote Tom Hanks's Larry Crown. I think it's his 2nd movie as a director, or 3rd. It's probably no That Thing You Do, let's be real. And she's made some other stuff, but I realized everything she touches is going to have that same slight feel where I'm going to be like, why am I watching this? What is this? Like, it's inoffensive, it's a little charming, it's good natured, but it's just fucking nothing. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I could not do it to myself. I thought about at least watching Larry Crown because I love me some Tom Hanks, but I love you, Tom Hanks, but I don't love you or anyone else that much. So I didn't do it. I did not fucking do that at all. Instead, I've been meaning to talk about the show on the pod for a while now, but I just haven't done it. Is the thing. I've been watching My Adventures with Superman on Max. It's like the Max exclusive, or HBO exclusive, or Adult Swim exclusive, whatever the fuck show. It's like an anime-ish, like yaoi, I guess, kind of version of Superman. And I watched, it's 10 episodes for the first season, and I'd only watched the first 4, and I kept meaning to watch the rest. And so I did that today. I was like, instead of a movie, I'm just going to watch the 6 episodes I have left of My Adventures with Superman. And I'm so glad I did, because it was also like light and charming and sweet and fun, but like there was more substance to it. Like there was meat, there was there, you know? And if you haven't watched the show, it is really fun. It's like Jack Quaid, Dennis Quaid's son, the dude from the Boys or whatever, the guy that plays Huey. He voices Superman, and he's a kind of like maybe the best voice actor I've heard for Superman in a long time. It's a really good performance. There was like some, I don't know, like anti-woke complaints about the show because like they make Lois Lane Korean, they make Jimmy Olsen black, they make Monsieur Mala and the Brain gay. And people were like, why do they make these extremely niche Justice League villains gay? And it was like, I don't know, man. Fit the story. Why are you worked up? It's a fucking monkey and a brain and whatever. They make a lot of departures from the mythology that are all like essentially just for the tone and vibe of the show. They're not like crazy retcons or things like that, but they all feel right. Like they have an episode where Vicky Vale comes from Gotham to like do an editorial for the Daily Planet, and they kind of cast her as being like a contemporary of Perry's, and then she's kind of like a sellout, like bad journalist. Like she's won all these awards, but she's like not like a real journalist like Lois would be and stuff. Chris Parnell voices Slade Wilson, like Deathstroke, the Terminator, but he looks like he's in fucking Team Rocket. Like it's just a completely different look for Slade. They have who else is it? Oh, they have like a bunch of villains, like Professor Ivo is in it, but they like make him Parasite, kind of like that's who he turns into Parasite, sort of, but like a weird mech version of Parasite where he looks like he came out of Zone of Enders or something, and then later he turns into a kaiju. They also make a bunch of like these random intergang like thugs, a bunch of other small DC. So there's one that turns into like Silver Banshee, one turns into like Live Wire, like that kind of vibe. They do an episode with Mixie Spitlick, Mr. Mixie Spitlick, but instead of him being like a fifth dimensional imp, he's sort of like a multiversal chaos god. He looks like the aliens, the creatures from Dragon Ball Z that like they're in like the cells. I don't remember enough about Dragon Ball Z lore to describe what I mean, but like he's like blue and he has like weird hair. He looks like an anime character version of Mr. Mixie Spitlick. Like he has a derby hat at one point, but he turns into like a video game crown or something. So they make all these different. The designs are different and stuff. Like the actual S for the Superman thing is different. He gets like the first time he puts the costume on, he gets like a Sailor Moon-esque magical girl transformation sequence, which I thought was really rad. But it's got a really nice tone. The action is pretty well animated and stuff. The stories are good. Like there's an episode, the aforementioned multiversal Mixie Spitlick episode that introduces like the League of Lois Lanes and stuff, and they show like Lois Prime, and she looks like the Max Fleischer cartoon Lois and stuff like that. That I was like, this is neat. Like it doesn't go full on like Spider-Verse or whatever, but it's like the sort of thing you'd like to see more in DC animation. Because I feel like after the Timmiverse era ended and all those DC animated movies that are like birthed from bad New 52 stories, there haven't been good ones in a while. Like the last couple that have been released from like their new era, where I think Darren Criss is voicing Superman or something, like those are also not great. So like this was a really nice change of pace. And there's so many little touches I really fucking liked. Like every time you meet Jor-El, like the program thing, he only speaks Kryptonese, and it sounds kind of Slavic, like it almost sounds like Russian, sort of, or something. I thought that was really neat. And there's a lot of good shit in it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of cool references to other DC lore stuff. Like they introduce Vicky Vale. They can bring Batman in at some point. They show like Dr. Fate's helmet at one point, like in this like thing there that Mixie Spitlick's trying to break into. They give you teases for other stuff without overpowering it, you know. Quick little rant though. Amanda Waller is a big character in this, like Checkmate and all that Task Force X stuff. And she's voiced by Deborah Wilson from Mad TV, who does a pretty good job. But they have like this flashback thing to her being like in the military when she's younger, and she's like cut, like she looks like one of the ladies in like a James Cameron movie kind of. And I just, in the present day, they make her kind of chubby or whatever, but like Amanda Waller as a character, like was introduced in the Suicide Squad comic in the late 80s, and like the fact that she's like a stout, like fat black woman, she's like one of the only people with that look and body type in all of fucking superhero comics. So every time she's adapted to another medium or something, and they choose to not make her fat, to not give a fat black actress a job and play this role, it's infuriating to me. And I realize it doesn't really matter to most people or to her character or something, but like I've always loved the visual like iconography of like this like short, fat black woman, like looking up at Batman and being like, I'm gonna fuck you up, rich boy. Like I've always liked that. To me, the perfect Amanda Waller is the one from the Justice League series with CCH Pounder doing the voice work, and she's fat in that, you know. Every time I think about CCH Pounder, I think about It's Always Sunny. But I don't know, like I remember fucking Pam Grier played her on Smallville once. Pam Grier is an amazing woman, but you know, she's not really even bigger. She wasn't that big. In the New 52, they made Amanda Waller look like fucking Halle Berry randomly. I think on Arrow, the Amanda Waller they had was like skinny or something. So like, I don't know. The only one I give a pass is Viola Davis, because it's fucking Viola Davis. She's amazing. She's really good for the part. And I guess maybe it would be too much to ask her to just like bulk up or something. But I don't like fat Waller erasure. I don't like it. Something about it rubs me the wrong way. And that is that. That's it. It fucking annoys me. I don't like it. I tend to judge things involving her character on whether or not to make her fat, which is maybe a silly metric to some people, but to me, it just feels wrong when she's not. That's all. I love black women. I love big black women. And I just hate that like there's this really great character, like a really meaty, good role that is like drawn and designed for a big black woman. And there's plenty of those actresses that don't get good roles written for them ever. And then it's like, we're going to give it to some random skinny girl. And I just don't like that shit. That's all. This isn't like the thing where the gingers get mad about, you know, ginger erasure or whatever. I think this is a little different. But I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments if you think I'm overreacting about a fictional comic book villain. But I think she's a great character. Like I would love to make a movie where Amanda Waller was like a significant fixture in it. She's like great. Really fun character. But I don't know. Also, maybe it's never going to top how much I like CCH Pounder in the cartoon version. So maybe that's just a thing. So, okay. That's what I watched this week. I wish it was more. I honestly do, but that's all it was. But yeah, My Adventures of Superman. If you like Superman, you should totally watch this. Like this 10-episode season could totally have been condensed into like a good Superman movie. Like it had the vibe of something I think I would want from a Superman movie. So James Gunn, I hope you're taking some fucking notes, nerd. Okay, so I have some questions for the Q&A section. There's one question, and then I have several from my friend Luke. Some of these, Luke, I'm saving for the next episode because I want to spread them out a little bit. But the first question is actually from Channel Not Found. And that question is, what is a widely revered movie you just don't vibe with? And then, conversely, what is a widely maligned movie that you go to bat for? So, widely, like, loved movie that I don't fuck with. I actually don't have that many, like, contrarian opinions about largely beloved movies. And when I do, it's usually something where I'm like, where it's widely beloved by, like, squares or weird people. Or not weird people, but, like, super normies, like you know, like saying you don't like Green Book. Like everyone fucking hates Green Book except like a weird specific class of people that like garbage, you know. So like I wouldn't characterize that as a movie that's like widely praised necessarily. I don't know, like I don't really give a fuck about like the Harry Potter movies, I guess, other than the one that Cuarón did. I don't really care about there's most post Requiem, post Fountain Darren Aronofsky movies. Fucking hated The Whale. Have not seen Noah or whatever, but I really did not like Mother. I fucking hate Mother. That's a pretty divisive movie though, so I don't know if that counts. But I don't know if you guys have. I mean, if you've been following me for a while, you notice I don't really hate that many things. There's not that many things that people love that I'm like, what the fuck. Like I could almost say a lot of the Marvel stuff that I found mediocre that some people still love, you know what I mean? But even that, like I don't hate those things, I suppose. In terms of the opposite though, things I defend that everybody hates, I do that all the time. Maybe the biggest one is Christopher Nolan's Tenet. And I'm not going to count that because like time's going to tell on that one. People are already fucking converting and turning. So we're going to win that argument in the end. But there's a handful of like more recent movies that like I really dug and then nobody else dug that I knew anyway. Like I really like Blonde, the the Marilyn Monroe movie. Like, there's a lot of things wrong with it, for sure. But I really liked it, and like I don't know how to articulate it well enough. I wrote about it for the Beat when it came out, and even when I was done writing it, I was like, "This sounds like I didn't like it," but I did like it. Like I don't want to pretend like I didn't like it just because everyone else thinks it's like shitty and immoral. I enjoyed it. Like I can't lie. You know, I don't know why I did necessarily. I thought it was really weird, but I don't know. Sometimes I like shit that's just weird. So like that. Mank, the Fincher Mank movie, people like really thought that was like his worst movie, and I really enjoyed it. I haven't rewatched it, so maybe if I do, I'll think it sucks. But I thought Mank was cool. I have one that's like real controversial. I fucking hate David O. Russell. Like I think he just seems like a real piece of shit, like a very bad person. But I watched Amsterdam, and it's like not a good movie. But there's a lot of stuff I liked in it. And I was very taken aback by that, where I was like, there's things about the kind of movies he makes. And all of his movies have elements that make me think that he's like more of a human than he really is. Because everything you hear about him in real life, he sounds awful. And it's like, why can't you align your real life actions and stuff with like the ideals that are sometimes present in your films, you know? But I thought the movie was really interesting and like weird and unique. The scene where Taylor Swift gets hit by a car is the funniest thing I've seen in a movie in fucking years. And I really liked Christian Bale's performance in the movie, actually, even though he just sounds like Nick Mullen the whole time. I don't know. Everything about it was just, it was an interesting movie. And I kind of wish more people, no, I'm not going to say that. I don't wish more people liked it. I wish the guy that made it didn't fucking suck so much. Like I wish he was just like maybe a halfway goddamn decent person. Then I could actually defend the movie to people. But as it stands, if I tell someone I like Amsterdam and they're like, I don't want to watch that, I'm like, that's totally fucking fair. I'm not even going to make you. So yeah, hope that answers the question. Thanks, dude. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 questions from Luke. I'm going to do them kind of rapid fire. Not rapid fire. I'm going to answer these questions, Luke. Love you, man. Luke's first question is, what is the coolest ship you've seen in a movie? Sailing or space, doesn't matter, but a car doesn't count. That's fair. I am a sucker for every version of the main Enterprise from all the Star Trek movies. So like even like the one from the reboot cool whatever ones that J.J. Abrams did. It's absurd, but in like the first Star Trek movie, that really long like shot showing you just the scale of the Enterprise and like this isn't a TV show, motherfucker. This is a real movie. That I love that. I just love the Enterprise. I think it's so fucking cool. I grew up on Next Generation. I shouldn't talk about Star Trek very much, honestly, because my friend Dylan Roth is like the world's foremost Star Trek scholar. Like he's like the end all be all. Like I would never even want to dip into his territory. You know what I mean? He'll pop up outside of a Home Depot while TV on the radio's DLZ is playing, telling me to stay out of his territory. Dylan's a great guy. Anyway, but I like Star Trek. I grew up on Next Generation. I'm not as knowledgeable about it as I used to be when I was younger because my brain is rotted. But as a kid, the thing I was always so blown away by about Star Trek was the idea that the fucking ship had a saucer sept capability, like the saucer part of it would like separate from the rest of the ship. And every time that happens on Star Trek, in a Star Trek movie, whatever, I am such a mark for that. I'm just like, the ship's split in two. Like that's like my shit. The only other thing that happens with anything vehicular in fiction that makes me feel the same way is in Tim Burton's Batman when the Batmobile has like that armor that like comes out and covers the whole thing. Like I like that. But I love the Enterprise. I always will. What is the strangest or most surprising food you've seen sold in a movie theater concession stand? So like dine-in theater stuff doesn't count. Oh, this is a very easy one. And to some people listening to this, it's not going to be weird. But when I worked at this theater that I used to work at, my friend Paul Klein was like, I don't remember how this happened, but he was like, we should sell pickles. And I was like, why the fuck would we sell pickles? And he was like, people like pickles. People like a good pickle. And I was like, well, one, I don't really like pickles. And two, I was like, that's such a weird fucking thing to give people. And there was this brand that sold like these, like they called them like Big Papa or something, like these big fat fucking girthy chode pickles. And we'd sell them for like $4 or $5 or something. And like we sold a few. We didn't sell very many. And I don't remember, Maybe we sold more than I remember. My memory's fallible, but it was just a weird thing. And I just was like, I don't know why the fuck we're doing this, Paul. And he was like, just trust me on this. And like, it didn't really take off. I trusted Paul on everything else in the world and still do. But that, I was like, bro, I don't know. And then I got sent to a theater in Houston around this time, maybe like a few months later, to help cover a theater because their GM got injured. And like, so I spent 2 weeks running this theater I didn't know very well in Houston. It was a pretty cool time, whatever. And while I was down there, they sold the same fucking pickles, and they were like a hot fucking item. Like they were like blowing off the shelves. And I didn't want to tell Paul because I didn't want him to be like, see? But I was like, Paul, they're selling these fucking pickles down here. And he was like, let me see the sales. And like, I showed him and he was like, see, I fucking knew it. You know, I was like, well, we're not Texas though. We're in DC, but whatever. I just thought it was fucking weird. I don't think anything's ever been weirder to me than those fucking pickles. If you got to do a 24-hour movie marathon in a theater, what would the theme be and what films would you pick? And you only really need like 22 hours of films for bathroom breaks and stuff like that. Okay. So that's kind of hard. Like if I did it, I would want to do something kind of eclectic. Like I would maybe just play all of my favorite movies. But I think if it was something I wanted people to truly enjoy, I feel like I would probably try to pick just like a series, like an existing series. But the thing is, almost no series are good for that. So like you could do a bunch of Bond movies, and like I feel like if you just picked just the Connery movies, right, just the Roger Moore movies, maybe it kind of would work. But watching a lot of Bond movies back to back is very hard because they're all like 40 minutes longer than they should be, and even the really good ones just get kind of boring at times. So like that's not ideal for being in a theater for a whole day. But I don't, it's really hard. Or like, you know, all the Scream movies or something like that. Like I would do something like that. Or I would do what I really want to do, if I'm selfish, is just pick several of my favorite movies and just sequence them weirdly and make people watch them. But then I imagine no one would stay the whole time. I think if I am someone who, when it comes to film programming and booking, like those ideas, I keep them very separate from my own personal taste, because I know that a lot of things that I personally like do not translate to money. And a lot of people in the booking programming world, that can be difficult. Sometimes it's very hard to admit that the shit you like doesn't make money. And I think it's an important thing to know. It's important to kind of know, like, look, the margins in this business are not great. If people don't want to watch your shit, what do they want to watch? So in terms of like what would be, I feel like maybe just like a director's filmography or something. I feel like you could do like all of Tarantino's movies in order, because they're all kind of eclectic and kind of fun. And I remember Tarantino talking about how like he likes to make his movies feel like albums. And then if you're rewatching it, you can just rewatch the scenes you like the most. It's like listening to the songs you like the most in an album. And ever since he said that, I do that with his movies a lot. I'll just be like, I just want to watch this one scene, or I just need to see this one scene. Like I've probably seen the basement bar shootout from Inglourious Bastards more than I've just seen the movie. I watch that scene all the time, you know? So I think, I know it's kind of cheesy. And I know a lot of times that I like go to bat for Quentin, people are like, oh my God, you're such a basic bitch, but I love the guy. So yeah, that's probably what I do. What holiday is untapped by the movie industry? We've got plenty of Christmas movies. We've got New Year's Eve, Halloween, Friday the 13th. What holiday gets a movie next? And do you have a pitch? What's really funny is I was talking about the Thanksgiving movie at the beginning of the year. I mean, the beginning of the pod, sorry. And there's other movies that are Thanksgiving movies, like Mistress America, the Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach joint. It's kind of a Thanksgiving movie. Is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles a Thanksgiving movie? Is that Thanksgiving, or does he go home to Christmas? I don't fucking remember. I think, you know, it's kind of weird that Valentine's Day is not a bigger holiday. There are movies about Valentine's Day and like rom-coms and stuff, but it seems like there should be more. But maybe not. Maybe like the Hallmark people would like, or the Lifetime people would be like, you're infringing, motherfucker. You know what? I would love to have more Labor Day themed movies. I would love to have more movies that are just incendiary, fucking badass, anger-inducing movies that make you want to quit your job or unionize your people or fight for shit like that. The only Labor Day movies I can think of, it's like, you know, those movies about like a factory where people are getting fucked, like the legal thing. That, like, I can't think of an example of that right now, but movies where like a factory people are being screwed, like that kind of is like a labor movie. Thief is, to me, Michael Mann's Thief, like the best Labor Day movie. Every Labor Day, I think about the scene when he wants his fucking cut of the money, and the boss guy is just like, no, like, what the fuck, you know, tell it to a union rep. And then he pulls his gun out and he's like, I keep mine on me. And I'm like, that is the energy I want to have on Labor Day. You know, not going to be a lucrative thing once again, but I would kill for there to be more Labor Day themed movies. I saw this French movie a couple of years ago. The dad from, what's the car fucking movie? Like the movie about the fucking, the person gets reincarnated as a car or whatever. This is really terrible because, like, I've seen this movie, like, I've talked about this movie. I don't remember the name of it right now, and I'm not going to look it up. But the dad from the fucking car movie, like, you probably know this movie, and you can comment in the comments, and you'll probably be right. The dad from that movie, he was in a movie that was about a factory trying to fight for, like, a new, like, union contract with this, like, really shady company. And the movie itself had a very weird tone, and it almost seemed to exist just for his performance. And I remember thinking, I would love a movie like this about workers trying to get a new contract, but that had more like Alan J. Pakula, like conspiracy thriller vibes about all the ways the corporation tries to fuck them. Like if it had like a thriller thing, but it was that overarching thing, that's like what I would love to do as a Labor Day movie. And it would make no money. It would not make any fucking money. But hopefully it would piss off and enrage enough people to actually have like a real impact on society. We would love that. And then final question of the episode. Have you ever considered doing a physical rec sheet of random movies, like a one sheet or a zine, or even a book, so you can tell people to go see Nemesis or other films you found and loved, as opposed to purely digital things? I also remember to add Nemesis on Peacock, so I can watch this weekend. Hell yeah, dude. Watch Nemesis. You're going to love it, I think. Luke's got pretty interesting taste. He's like a pretty savvy guy. So I do miss doing, like, you know, I write for the Baltimore Beat, and I like that my stuff is in print. I like that, like, every 2 weeks a newspaper comes out that has like my name and my words in it. It feels really cool. And the closest thing I've ever done to what Luke's kind of describing here sort of is me and a few friends several years ago had a zine. We only did a few issues, but we had a self-printed zine that we made, and it was called Trash Blasters. And if you've been enough in my circle to have gotten a real copy of Trash Blasters, like, that's some rare shit. But me, my friend Kyle, who I talk about on the pod a lot, my best friend Cody, I talk a lot about on the pod too, and our friend Ian, who I just got to see last week for the first time in a while. He was a good guy. The four of us, back when all four of us used to actually hang out more regularly, sort of a bygone era when we were like the four horsemen, you know, 4 legs on a table, 4 seats in a Mustang GT. I miss those days, man. Not good when I get randomly nostalgic late at night, but whatever. Anyway, the 4 of us got together and made a zine. I think we did like 3 issues. I could be wrong, but it was so cool hanging out at Kyle's place. He had like had the X-Acto knife and all the stuff. And we put the shit together and scanned it and printed it. And like, I wrote 2 of my like favorite things that I've ever written, and they only exist in these printed zines. Like I never republished them online or anything. One was like a love letter to Little Caesars, and it has talked about how like important it is to my life, which is ridiculous, but whatever. It was a sincere thing. And the other was I talked about pornography. I talked about how like tube sites, when they upload contextless clips from existing pornography films, that a lot of times that the titles they add are the closest thing the video has to a narrative. And I was trying to unpack that. Like, what does that mean? Like, you can look at the same 2-minute and 40-second clip of 2 people fucking, and whatever the title says completely changes your perception of the scene that you're watching, because you're just watching the fucking part. You don't know how they got here. You don't know if he's a pizza man. You don't know if that's the boss's wife. You don't know what the scenario is. So like the people that upload these clips like raw with no context create the context in their titles. You know, they decide if they're step siblings. They decide if they're real siblings. They decide if this is like whatever. Like they just say it in the title, and then as you're watching it, you're like, oh, I guess I can sort of see it. But they're making it up. You know, I wrote that. That's maybe my favorite thing that I've ever actually written. It's very silly. But again, also sincere. That's like my vibe. But I would love to do something like that again, like where I make recommendations or something. Maybe when we finally get around to launching the fucking Patreon, maybe we'll do like a monthly zine or something that only goes out to like the coolest fucking supporters. I don't know. Food for thought. I think I might. The gears are turning right now. I don't know. I like that idea though. I do miss the tactility of something physical, you know, and maybe I'll try something like that. That's a good idea, Luke. You're a genius. Total genius. All right, guys. Thank you for listening this week. If you're watching this on YouTube and you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, you should subscribe and hit the little bell icon to get notifications whenever I put out new content. Hopefully we'll have a new regular video in the next couple of weeks. If I get inspired, hopefully, or have the time, hopefully. But in the meantime, the pod will be here for you every week, Friday at noon, no matter what happens. If I get my fucking arm cut off, I'm going to be in here with a stub, talking about how that happened to me, because this is very important to me now. If you have any questions for the next episode, please ask me them. You can email me on Gmail. It's armchairauteur@gmail.com. You can comment on this video or any other videos. You can DM me on Instagram. You can DM me on Twitter. You can @ me on Twitter. You can find me on Blue Sky. If you guys have that Spill app that I downloaded once and haven't used since, I'm everywhere on the internet that a person needs to be. So yeah, I love talking to you guys. I'll try to make a better effort to respond to comments more. Lately, I just keep forgetting to because I'm the worst. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, please subscribe on whatever platform you listen to this podcast. Please share it with your friends if you think that I'm cool and you want me to be friends with your friends. And give me a little rating, review it. Be like, this guy rules, man. He's so cool. His voice is so nice. Oh my God. Don't write exactly. That's weird. But yeah, thank you guys again, as always, for supporting the pod, listening every week to your fave film critic. We'll talk soon.